What's up, everybody?
What's up, friends and family?
Welcome to the Moral Combat Podcast.
Moral Combat Podcast!
My name is Nathan.
And I'm Zach.
We are siblings. Hi, sibling.
Hey, sibling.
How are you, brother?
I am, dude, so good.
Really?
Yeah.
Give it to me. Why are you so good?
Oh, no, I was being sarcastic.
This is the podcast where we talk about trauma and healing.
Mm-hmm.
Our main focus from when we started talking about trauma and healing was
religious trauma.
Which not everyone gets out alive from.
Definitely not.
But we did.
We got out alive.
We are living.
We are living proof that if you were raised with a serious amount of religious trauma, you can still survive.
Yes. We were born in the Christian evangelical faith. Our father is a pastor.
Still is.
And we still also have a high-functioning and loving relationship with our parents.
Which, yeah, we still do.
We still do.
And we've really worked on keeping that, especially through this podcast. And it's had its hiccups because of it. But we are at a place right now where I think there's like this middle ground of just love and acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, the line in the sand, there's a line that's been drawn, and we don't cross it. They don't cross it. Our Aunt Deanna and Uncle Mike were in town from Virginia. Wonderful to have them. So we were just over at their house saying hi to them. And while I was inside the house using the restroom, Aunt Deanna came in and she said, "We're not allowed to talk about the podcast, huh?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Okay, because that's all I want to talk about and just give you both so much praise with what you're doing. I agree with everything that you're doing." And it was very fast. And then she was like, "And your mother's coming and we'll stop it." And she went to the restroom. So Aunt Deanna, you might see this. She said that she loves the shorts. And I said, "That's all Zachary. I do long content. Zach does shorts." She goes, "Well, I'm sorry that I don't watch long content." And
is she on TikTok? How
not many people do. I don't know. But Aunt Deanna, we love you. We're calling you out because, well, that's what you get here.
That's what you get here on this podcast.
Is if you're a family member that supports us, we're dropping names. So that's been fun. And welcome. Welcome to episode 47.
Welcome to episode 47.
Which I see that number everywhere.
Yeah, you were just saying that before the podcast. What do you mean by that? You see it everywhere. 47?
Well, before I met Megan, my fiance, I was seeing the number 818 for years. 818 in numerology, which here on Moral Combat, we consider all forms of
spirituality.
Yeah. Because it's fun and exciting. Come on.
It is.
But 18 in numerology basically in certain ways stands for the ending of old ways and the beginning of new. And it was like, I started seeing it literally all the time. And I always just think it's like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, pandemic hit, I get engaged, Megan moved, it's like a lot of things was like ending of old ways and the beginning of new.
Yeah.
Was right about 2019, 2020.
Wow.
So I started seeing 47 everywhere for the last year. And I've been calling it out. Receipts, totals, credit card numbers, things in the hospital, like people's heart rates, things like timings, it just lands on 247, 847, you name it. And so that's all. I just see the number everywhere. And I don't really go any deeper than that.
Yeah.
I think it's just,
I sometimes go through phases like that where I start seeing a certain number. And then I'm like, why does that keep popping up? And then I never look into it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm the person that's like, let's look into it. I read it and I go, yeah, I didn't even need to look into it. That's exactly what's happening. That's like the problem with astrology, right?
No, straight up.
That's the problem.
You read your horoscope and you're like, dude, they know me. It's like, no, I think they're just being influenced.
Why did I just go through one of the most brutal breakups in my life?
Yeah. Remember my horoscope.
I knew it.
The cosmos.
How did they know? The stars.
Yeah.
No.
The stars know.
If there's any way to look into the stars and see into the future, maybe I'll save myself all that pain. Nope. Anyways, I'm glad you're doing so good.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being glad that I'm doing good. How you doing?
I think I'm doing as well as my hair is.
That looks pretty good.
Thank you. It's different for me.
Yeah.
It's long. I'm not getting it cut. It's thinning out and I'm losing it.
Nathan's going through a really tough time with his hair thinning. And I think everyone should put in the comments that he looks just really good right now. Your hair looks good, dude. Your hair looks good.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Don't be so hard on yourself, man. Maybe it's the stress that's taking your hair out.
You want to know something I haven't announced on this podcast yet?
Oh boy.
That's making me think about my hair more.
Oh, yeah. How about you go for it, dude? I know exactly
some announcements.
We have early announcements, right?
I have jumped into some new adventure, creative adventure for something I've wanted to do since I was a kid. And you and I have been talking about it, and we haven't brought it up to have on the podcast yet because I just haven't been ready to announce it.
Well, what's this? What's this information? What are you talking about? What's this thing?
Nene over here is taking his first acting class in San Francisco. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Love it. Love it.
Yep. I'm doing a 6-week, I think it's a 6-week acting class on auditioning. And
it's 6 weeks? I thought it was 4.
No, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it is 4.
No, it might be 6. I didn't look too much
into it.
I think
it's 5 or 6.
It's a lot of weeks.
It's enough weeks, and it's 4 hours on Tuesday nights. That means from when I work from 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m., get off around 2:30 or 2, and then I hike on over to San Francisco around 5 p.m.
5 p.m. is the worst time to hike to San Francisco.
Well, I have to go right at that time, like 5:30.
Might need to leave a little earlier.
Class is 7 to 11 p.m. And I drive home from San Francisco, get home around 12:30 at night, and then I go back to work at 5 a.m.
Good for you, man.
Next 5 weeks. You'll be hearing it on this podcast.
So when's the first week? August
1st, Tuesday nights. Yeah.
So it starts August 1st?
Yeah.
Oh, man. How about this? I'll be praying for you.
Oh, I don't need that.
Okay.
I feel like I'll probably fail. No, you do whatever you want. Okay. You can do whatever you want.
No, I'm not going to be praying for you.
Big fan of prayer.
Yeah.
Ask me a question. Can you ask me a question?
Let me ask you a question.
Why are you doing this? Ask me that.
Why are you doing this, man?
Why am I adding more onto my plate?
Yeah, here. How about let me rephrase this. I've been watching you go through just hell with your nerves and your anxiety and this pain of this class coming up, and you are so afraid and you are terrified, and you've always wanted to do this, and you've always never wanted to do this.
Right.
Why are you doing this?
I like the way you phrased that.
Thank you.
He's telling the truth. I have had more anxiety and fear about this silly little acting class than anything else I've done in my life. I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
Well, this podcast has opened the door to what it feels like for me to be back in front of a camera, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Mm-hmm. The editing, the tediousness, keeping up with it, talking about religious trauma, all of that's heavy. That can be really tiring. Not getting a view count you want, feeling like there's not a community that makes you feel motivated to keep going. That's hard. But sitting in front of this camera right now, in front of all of you, looking dead into the lens, talking about my feelings, I could keep doing this. And so I was like, Nathan's wanted to be an actor his whole life, but he chose music because that's what we did in church, and that's just what happened after church. And so it was like, and I was in drama in high school and was in high school plays. And I've always been a insanely, what is the name? Like cartoony, outgoing, in your face person with a lot of energy. And so it just seemed fitting that I stopped running from the truth, which is that I just want to get into acting more. I just want to do it for fun. Like I actually enjoy it. So then my partner, Megan, was a huge support and really pushed me to just do something about it. And it took me months and months to follow through with that. And then some shit hit the fan about 2 months ago. And we've talked about it a little bit on this cast, but we're not doing anything specific.
Let's rephrase that. A fan hit the shit, dude.
Yeah. Fan hit the shit. Shit's on the ceiling and the fan went...
Yeah. And you're like, dude, I was leaving that up there.
And the fan's just out there throwing it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa. Whoa.
This is crazy.
Normally the shit hits the fan. I've never seen a fan hit the shit.
Exactly.
And so when that started to happen, I was like, oh, here's a great idea. Let's counteract that suffering and that anxiety and that stress with more stress, but stress that I choose. And that's called what? Counter stress.
You used to call it, growing up, you used to call it eustress.
It is eustress.
Is that really the term?
I mean, eustress, eustress, I think I'm going to butcher. I mean, it's basically just stress on the body that isn't negative, right? Like, and the example I always use about eustress is like sex is a stress. It's like stress on the body. Working out is stress on the body. But these are things that are good for you. It's like good stress, healthy stress. I don't know if the anxiety and fear I've been feeling about this class coming up and the scripts, like the big scripts I'm having to learn, it's been stressful. And so I don't know if that's necessarily like it's my blood pressure's been up, I'm freaking out, but like the thing is I chose that. So whether that negative stress is like bad or whatever, it's not like
it wasn't imposed on you.
No.
Yeah. You were choosing the stressor.
And the truth is I actually want to do it.
Yeah.
And
the only way you're going to do it is to get through this stress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when the fan's been hitting the shit, it's kind of like, yeah, but you know what? There's nothing you can do about that. So why don't you do something about it?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm doing something about it. And I feel like I'm actually living my life, which is like a silly little acting class at night once a week. And I'm like, that's why I'm freaking out about it. Because it's like, I don't really know the last time that I was like outside of music where I was like putting myself in an uncomfortable zone that was like in front of a camera, still creative, still on the stage, lots of work, tedious work.
Probably not since Blouse.
Yeah, exactly.
And even Blouse was like a safety net of all of that. Very safe in comparison. Where this is just pure vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah. In an intensive acting class with probably other actors who have acted.
Yeah, and they've probably been to a lot of auditions. And
yeah.
I have not been to one.
Yeah. You very well might be the only person sitting there, and they'll go around on the first class. This is just hypothetical, and ask why everyone's here. What are you taking the class for? And you might be the only person that'll be like, I've never acted.
I'll be like, I started a podcast about religious trauma. Now my life is here.
Yeah.
It's like literally kind of, I think, how
everything
that we've just done over the last year has led me to being honest about this right here.
Yeah.
The relationship with the camera, I enjoy.
Yeah.
Is it stressful? Yes. Do you have anxiety? Yes. Do you want to do it all the time? No. But like the moment we're in front of the camera and we're being characters, or which this is the most honest thing we've done ever in front of a camera.
Yeah.
But we're still being characters and we're still like performing in a way. And like, I just love it and I miss it.
Yeah.
And so why not just jump in and see what happens?
Can't wait to see you in the next Barbie film.
It's very possible that I might be performing some of these characters with my scripts on this podcast.
I'm not sure if I'm going to allow that.
We'll see next week.
We'll talk about it next week.
And I don't mean just to snap it out. And is there anything you want to update with?
I'm just going to leave it nice and quick. I've been having some serious writer's block. And I've been going through very chronic back pain, which has been interfering with my ability to be creative. And so, and I'm not using that as an excuse. It's just really true. It's hard to sit for long periods of time, and my back pain is actually getting worse. And so I'm just in the stuck period where I am quite behind on my schedule of releasing a song a month this year. And I'm trying to get over being disappointed in myself because I have done a lot this year already. And I have 2 new songs that are like half made and I am working on. So there is some creativity happening, but in the world of Signs music, I'm a little behind. But like you said, the fan hit the shit in a lot of people's lives, and especially mine and especially yours. And so I'm just trying to be okay with what is present to me now. And I'm very happy that we're still doing this podcast because I'm still being creative. And yeah, that's the update there.
Yeah. Sorry about your back. If you have no idea what he's talking about with his back, then do yourself a favor and get more involved with our podcast.
Yeah, get more involved.
Because he talks about the back pain a lot.
This is week 16, so it's been quite a handful of episodes.
You want 16 episodes of back? You go back and you watch all that.
That's nuts, dude. I should try that tonight. Go back 15 episodes and see if my back pain just kicked in.
We got to jump into it, Zach.
Yeah, let's get into it.
But here's a question I have for you really quick before we jump into today. Are we recording everything? Is the audio recording?
Did you see me checking everything?
I just didn't double check it.
Audio's recording.
Perfect. So,
yeah, everything looks good.
We shot this shit a little bit longer than we wanted because it's very possible that today, whenever you're watching this podcast, this topic could stretch out into 2, maybe even 3 episodes.
Very, very likely 2. Very possible 3.
I think it's actually I think this podcast is going to bleed into next week as well.
Yeah.
Which is fine for us because we like that.
Oh yeah, and this is going to be we've been talking about doing this segment on this podcast since I want to say episode 15 or so. And we were trying to figure out a way where we could just do it live. And I'm glad we're doing it this way where we've already kind of absorbed everything. We have things we want to say because I don't know if I could be openly talking about it live. I think I would get so distracted so quickly.
No, for sure. We finally have watched the amazing, brutal documentary called Jesus Camp.
Yes.
This is a film. Do you have like the director's names? Did we get any of that? It's okay if you didn't. I'm not going to worry about it.
I didn't. I read their names multiple times. I don't know if I wrote down their names. I took all my notes in my anatomy lab notebook that I found in my closet.
This movie, Jesus Camp, this documentary was really hard to watch. Zach watched it on his own. I watched it on my own. And we both kind of had a really hard time getting through it. And then we talked a bunch about it on our own, and it became very clear that that's why this podcast might last a couple podcasts, because a lot of this documentary that we watched, and we're going to be showing some clips of it this episode and potentially next episode, and we're about to show the trailer. But it's a documentary that takes place in Missouri and follows a specific church that runs an extreme evangelical Christian fundamental camp that takes kids from the ages of 7, 8 all the way up to about like 13 or 14 and like kids camp. And it's a documentary that follows this church, these leaders, and these kids into this camp.
Very, very, very well done documentary. I was just the whole time questioning how they got all this footage and how they were able to film all this and get these leaders to be so open with them, because it's like they're putting it. It would be like if a serial killer was being filmed for a documentary and they were showing you how they got away with everything and how they killed all these people. And then the documentary comes out and you're like, but now you're screwed because everyone knows what you've done. That's legit how it felt. Like, I was like, I don't know how they were so trusted, the people filming all of this, because it seems like either they communicated to the church differently, or if the footage was supposed to be used for something else and then that was used for documentary.
Right.
Because there was so much trust there. God, man.
Woof. That's just the trailer. So, I mean, that trailer gives you a really good idea. It's kind of like...
It's great. It's a great trailer.
When you're watching the trailer, you're like... It was made, the way the trailer was made, to be like... I think a smart person's like, oh, wow, they're like making a documentary about these crazy people. These people are crazy. These poor kids. But an evangelical might look at that trailer and be like, thankfully, they're spreading the good word. Because the trailer isn't saying anything bad about it. It's like an even-handed approach.
So is the whole documentary.
The whole documentary.
There's no opinion against it in the documentary. The documentary is just documenting what they're doing.
I mean, there are artistic opinions.
Oh, for sure.
There is some imagery, man, where it's just like, like there's the blood, all of the talking of blood and how they show colors and whatnot. And so that was the trailer. And we have 5 clips that we've saved and a ton of notes. But before we jump into our first clip, let's just... how you feeling? Give it to me, Zachary. What's on your mind?
Man, I have so many mixed emotions because, I mean, I went to at least 3 camps a year. And one of them was a missionary camp. We talked about gleanings. We always went to gleanings every year. And then normally there was a summer and a winter camp. And the summer camp was that. It wasn't that identically in terms of the some of the acts that they would do, but it was very much like we did plays. We talked extreme, and we were kind of brainwashed as kids. And it doesn't feel like brainwashing when you're in it, but the camps were like extraordinarily brainwashing because you're separated from home. You're 24 hours a day talking about Jesus. You're reading your Bible. When you play a game, it's about Jesus. Everything's about a message. Everything's about learning how to be an evangelical, about how you're supposed to go out into the world in the future and how you're supposed to be saving people. And you're 10 years old. You're 11 years old. You're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You stop believing a little bit and you're like, this is tough. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. But for those developing years, like these kids that you watch in this film, like we were those kids. So this was maybe one of the hardest things I ever had to fully watch. I wanted to stop watching immediately when I put it on. And that's when I texted you and I was like, good fucking luck. Because, dude, it was so hard for me.
I stopped it 3 times.
Yeah, I was triggered the entire time. Every single scene I was triggered.
And when you're watching this film and there's so much of the kids, so much brainwashing. There's so much manipulation. There's so much like stuff in it. Did you feel bad for these kids?
Yeah, I didn't, because I was one of those kids. And that's a weird thing to say because I should feel bad for these kids, but because I've went through it and I'm 30 now and I'm doing this, having a podcast talking about all the trauma I have from these types of situations that I was raised in, I don't feel bad for feeling that way. I more wonder how these kids are doing.
Well, they're definitely our age now.
Well, no, they're not our age. They're actually younger than us. Because it came out in 2007.
I guess you're right. Well, they're late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah. Early 30s, later 20s, somewhere around there. So closer to our ages, but maybe not exactly our age. But even just like the time period of this film, where they talk a lot about George Bush, they talk a lot about Islam and the fear of terrorism. And I remember all that after the terrorist attack on the two towers, and how the church took that message and just so much blinding forced upon these children, so much fear doctrine during that time, and praise towards a president that would be a lover of Jesus, because he was a very openly Christian president, and they thought of him as a god. And there's even a scene where they bring out the George Bush. I don't know what you call that, but
just like the cardboard cut
out, and they're praising him
life
in a
size.
Way. There's just so many weird things that reminded me of what it was like to be 12, because that's about the age I was in 2007. I want to remember properly, but maybe I'm not. But
I mean, 2007. I was about 14, 15.
Yeah, so I was about 12, 13.
You're 12, 13. I mean, so there's that kid in the movie, Levi.
Yeah, it's like right around his age.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things they're talking about going on in society too brought me trauma and triggering, because I hopped back into my childhood self, feeling trapped, feeling stuck in my thoughts, and not knowing why I was so anxious. And so I didn't feel bad for the kids. Did you feel bad for the kids?
Good God, no.
Yeah.
I mean, of course I do. Evan, your nephew, my son, is 12 years old right now. And so there's a character in the movie there's a kid in the movie named Levi, who's like he's like the most evangelical kid. He's so innocent. He's so sweet. He's got a weird little haircut, like a long ponytail, and they make him feel so special, and he's so powerful. He's so anointed by God. And so we're going to have you do a kid's sermon to the kids. Do you think you want to do that? Do you want to give a sermon to the kids? You're one of them. And he's like, who, me? I get to preach? I'm that worthy?
And they show him
practicing. And it was like, I paused right when there's a scene in the movie where he's practicing his sermon, and he's going over his lines and what he wants to talk about. And I paused it there because I did the same exact shit.
Yeah.
I got to teach a sermon at a kid's camp. I was the president of the Christian club, 7th and 8th grade. Yeah. I was the kid who went to 3 camps, laid on my face in dirt, in tears, outside in front of a fire for 2 hours. How old was I? 11 years old. And I remember my best friend that I've had for my entire life. We live across the whole country now. I'm not going to say his name. And he was laying right there in the dirt looking at me for support. And I'd say, get down on the dirt. He got down on the dirt. So I was a leader. I was anointed. I was, the pastor's son. And I'm also going into acting, like I announced. You can imagine the same personality. Hey, put him on a stage. Make sure he feels famous and powerful, and that he's doing the Lord's work.
Dude,
so that was I was super triggered.
Yeah. With the second you mentioned that before the podcast, that Levi reminded you a lot of yourself, I was like, oh, 100%. Instantly, he comes up and he's like this evangelical figure. I'm like, that's my brother. 100%. That was brutal. My brother. And that was triggering to watch that. And then it also made me reflect on Austin, the lovely gentleman that we interviewed on episode 18.
Austin 18.
Because he talked a lot about coming from the Bible Belt, and this is straight Bible Belt.
Yeah.
And the most strict part of the Bible Belt, I would think. And he talks a lot about these camps.
But these are this movie. I know that there's things that are different.
Yeah.
But I experienced this at summer camps multiple times.
Yeah, me too.
So it's like, I don't care if you're Bible Belt, Missouri, or wherever you are, this is why the power of the Supreme Court and the like presidency and like literally there's so many people that are running this culture and like the fundamental evangelical Christians of this country. And so then that's why we started this podcast. We started this podcast almost a year and a half ago. Like, and what we saw during the pandemic in our own family, with our parents, with other friends, with politics, with like just life, it was kind of like, okay, it's time to, you want to start a podcast? Start just doing something. And I think that like, so it's just not far from home at all. In fact, it feels like our child. Like this movie feels like somebody made a documentary on our childhood.
100%.
And we were pastors' kids.
Yeah.
So a lot of the kids in this film weren't the pastors' kids. They were just kids of families and their parents were sending them off. They were all homeschooled.
Yeah.
Well, we were the pastors' kids. And so the reason why I didn't feel too bad was because some of them looked like they had it easy.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a camp like that and you get all riled up and then you come home and that's your life every day, every year until you're 15, 16 and you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then the family's like,
get out,
go, get out of here. It's like, you're going to have some issues.
Yeah.
And the leaders in this film reminded me, they looked the same. And I know you're thinking of the one woman, maybe like the main woman in this movie, Fisher is her name, right? She's like the wildest.
Becky Fisher.
Becky Fisher.
Still alive.
There is a woman that I'm thinking about right now who ran kids camps who looked just like her.
If I
can't say it.
I know, but if I
don't
do,
even,
you
don't even,
because I want to know who it is. No.
Don't even say, you know who it is.
Maybe, I don't know. Could be three people. I'm thinking
they have a church here in town.
Okay.
And it's...
Did we just run into them?
No.
Okay, so a different person.
Yeah. I'll just do this.
Oh, okay. I wasn't even thinking about her.
I'll have to like if that came out whispering. But like
no, that gets gonna get
totally triggered me and reminded me of like the power of that woman in the movie. It was like, oh my God, this is identical to what that person was doing. Yeah. Coming up with brilliant crafts and weird toys and ideas to like connect childhood with the war against Islam, childhood with the war against abortion, childhood with what do you name it? It was like, let's figure out.
Or how can we make this fun childhood craft brainwashing to the children?
Right.
That's really what it is. Because when Becky Fisher is going through all their crafts they have in that closet and whatever, she's showing how they have all these demonstrations. It's like, yep. Every kid class I was in, every childhood ministry I was a part of, there's always these weird analogies where they would have you make like a mask or something, and they'd be like, this is your mask. Yeah. This is your, like, blah, blah, blah. And it always related to something with Jesus dying on the cross for your sins and death and hate in this world, and you're going to save people.
This world is full of hate and it's dying, and you're the answer.
Yeah.
You're the generation that's going to, you're the generation that's going to change the country. This is God's world, you know? And so, this documentary is no joke. Let's go ahead and jump into our first clip and take it from there. What do you say?
Let's do that.
Okay. This clip here is a clip from inside one of the family's houses of all these kids that are, all of them are homeschooled, right? There was this is back in 2007, 75% of all homeschoolers in this country back in 2007 were evangelicals. 75% who was homeschooled growing up, ding dong, until 7th grade, until 5th grade for you. And so that's a real thing here. So this first clip shows a family at the dinner table or whatever, and they're doing the Pledge of Allegiance and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag or whatever, which is not the normal Pledge of Allegiance, and then a Pledge of Allegiance to the Bible. Triggering much? Yes, because I remember this. I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag, which is the white flag with the blue cross in the corner.
Yeah.
I think it's a blue cross.
Yeah.
That's the Christian. I pledge allegiance not to the American, to the Christian flag.
The Christian flag.
And the brotherhood and God's kingdom.
Yeah.
His will be done.
His will be done.
And then, but wait, you're not done yet. I pledge allegiance to the Bible. Rough.
Rough, dude. Absolutely rough. Just so strange. Like that's the only way I could think about it is, and I know there's houses that still run this way, and that are
so many
that are still this strict.
Way more now. There's a pandemic.
Yeah.
Homeschooling went up like, I don't even know the number, but it's ridiculous how many families started homeschooling again.
Yeah, it's just that is just weird.
So the Pledge of Allegiance is a problem to begin with.
Yeah.
Forcing, like, everyone had to do the Pledge of Allegiance in our age growing up. And when we hit public school, it wasn't just the weird homeschool stuff. It was like,
they did it in
now face
school.
the flag, stand up every morning. We're going to sing it as a school.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of those things, at least I would imagine those are being broken down. I don't think Evan does the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good thing to ask.
But the Pledge of Allegiance is weird. Forcing kids to sing some national anthem creates nationalism. So that's already dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, it's like American exceptionalism. You know, we can do nothing wrong. America can do nothing wrong. Sing the song.
Yeah.
Look at the flag. Put your hand over your heart. One nation under God.
Yeah.
Even though it's separation between church and state, but one nation under God.
There's definitely no separation between church and state, at least during this time. And still now, there's no separation between church and state.
One of the clips I saved is there's a radio host that they have throughout the whole documentary who's like the one person who's the outlier, who's not an evangelical.
The opposing view on a radio.
And he's like a radio host who like does a radio show on the corruption of fundamental evangelical Christianity in this country.
And nothing in the film, he ever even really is just like straight calling them out. Or calling Becky out at all. He like maybe towards the end he kind of slightly does, but he's just more of like, I still support like the praise of Jesus and all that, but enforcing it upon children.
I don't know if he did. I think I saved a clip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's really good. Of just the one time where he was like calling out, because it was really hard to know what side he was on.
Yeah,
but you know,
yeah,
he is, because at the very end of the film, he's like, takes his headphones off and he's like, the more you look into it, the crazier it gets.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah, dude.
Good job. I'm sure you're tired.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, like conditioning these kids from the house. You have education. You're going to be inside the house. You're going to learn what we teach you.
Yeah.
Because creationism.
Yeah.
That's what's true, and evolution. That's a lie.
Yeah.
And so the way that they like manipulate the kids.
Even like that in the beginning scene when Levi is like his mom's talking to him or something about like why he's not in public school.
No, that scene was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And then she's like, because creationism is blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I wouldn't laugh at that. And he's like, well, evolution. He's like, oh, I'd laugh at that.
Well, she was like, would you rather have a teacher that's teaching you about like some sort of like putting him, like didn't even let the kids speak. And he's like, she's like telling him, her son, like, this is how you're gonna, this is when he's like, this is what makes sense.
That was, dude, very triggering for me. That was so prevalent in our lives.
Oh yeah.
We can't have you in public school. They're going to teach you about evolution.
Yeah.
Like it's this satanic, horrible theory. And then that if we get taught it, we're going to believe it. And then we can't believe in God.
And they're going to let you read books that are of the devil.
Yeah.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah, like Harry Potter.
And
did you notice the Lord of the Rings book?
What Lord of the Rings book?
Oh my gosh. I wonder if I put that in my notes.
Wait,
but at one of the houses, I think it's either at Levi's house or one of the kids' houses, right in the beginning, there's this one shot where it's in the kitchen. Right in the center of the kitchen is the Lord of the Rings.
That's crazy. I missed that because there's a whole scene where they're at the camp and this woman is literally like shaking on the mic, like, if Harry, and she makes this line, which is crazy. She goes, if Harry Potter was alive in this time of the Bible, they would have had him killed.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God. They're like, no wonder why Harry Potter was hated. Like, we had the same experience. Like, first time Harry Potter was just the evil warlocks are of the devil.
Yeah.
You know,
like, witchcraft.
And so they're like preaching. These kids are screaming it. And then they're like calling out the one kid who has glasses. And they're like, you look like Harry Potter. And he's like, all like offended, you know, it's like, how dare you look like Harry Potter, the devil.
Jeez.
It was wild.
Absolutely wild.
So much of this film is wild.
Almost every single scene is pretty fucking wild.
And there's no real, it's just lets you just sit. You just have to sit through it and you decide how you want to feel. And then there's great artistic imagery. I'm just going to put it out there. The energy's out there. We'd love to interview the directors and kids that were in this film, you know, like, it's possible that we'll just keep stretching out this documentary and see how much we can get out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's hitting the nail on the coffin, no pun intended.
Totally. 100%.
Do you want to jump into another clip, or do you want to talk about a few of our notes?
Let me read this quote that I took from Miss Fisher, Becky Fisher, the head Pentecostal preacher that ran the camp. She's the starter of the camp. She said this. This is in the film. I'm not even trying to be rude.
Give it to me. I'm moving the mic out of the way for this one.
She said this. I can go to a playground of kids that don't know anything about Christianity, lead them to the Lord in no time at all. They are so usable in Christianity.
Well, that's what this entire film is about. They literally are building the army of God, starting at the age like 7 or 6.
She even comments later on the film, liberals would be terrified. Look at them. And that's when they have the tape over their face. And they have all the kids standing outside of the White House or whatever they're doing. And it's like, yeah, I guarantee you they were, because that looks like terrorism. That looks horrific.
There's a scene where they're at the camp, and there's this older man who's like shaking on the stage, and he's like, do you want to be the army that fights abortion? And the kids are like, yeah,
like freaking out.
And then he is ripping pieces of red duct tape where all the kids are in a line, and he's sharpening and writes life on the red duct tape, and then puts it over their mouth. And as he's putting it over their mouth, he's saying things like this. Oh, that tape looks really good on your mouth.
And when I heard that, I was like, looks so beautiful on your mouth.
I was like, oh, yeah. I hate it. It's like the creepy old weird things with kids is too real. So real.
Also, something else I want to just point out in this film, and I'm not going to say it's 100% white, but something I did count 3 people of color.
Yes. And so that, I mean, it's still majority white.
Yeah.
But there are some individuals of color in this documentary. And there is one scene, which we're about to show right now, that, you know what? Let's just play the next clip.
Okay, let's just go to the next one.
This next clip, a couple minutes long, and is where they're at the camp. I believe this is day 1 of the camp. And I'm going to let the clip speak for itself. Should have done a warning before that clip. Should have been like trigger warning for anybody that suffers from religious trauma.
Yeah, seriously. That's like one of the most triggering.
So
it's even hard to comment on.
Just showing that clip, there you saw a person of color with the white gentleman behind him.
Yelling at him. It's like, holy fuck, this looks terrifying.
So scary.
So terrifying.
Like, I'm getting goosebumps even because it's so fucking real.
Yeah.
And when I saw this scene, in like the very last clip there at the very end where it shows like it goes like a little green, is the poster for the film, is that little girl.
Yeah.
Is speaking in tongues was something that I heard so much and it was encouraged. But even at such a young age, no matter how deep I was in, no matter how manipulated or brainwashed I was, there was this, as a kid, there was a part of me that was just always being like this. And this is so weird, but I was like, I don't know if I can get on board with tongues.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't know why that was the case or where that came from. It was just like, I tried it. I remember being a young kid and just being like, and I remember being like, what the heck am I doing? Like, how is the Lord? And then like, I remember being a kid in church and there was some sermon was going on. This is not a camp. And all of a sudden, a woman stands up in the middle of the sermon. And I'm just like, everyone's freaking
terrified,
out.
Yeah.
So scared.
Yeah.
And people around us are like, don't worry, it's the Lord Jesus. The Spirit just enters. Yeah. Just let it happen. And then this person finishes. Right after, somebody stands up and goes, I will translate. And translates whatever the speaking in tongues was. Somebody had the gift from God to be able to translate tongues. And so they translated what they said, eyes rolling in their head. There's Lord Jesus. And I was just like, none of this feels good. Like as a kid, I remember being like, this doesn't feel like good.
It feels like manipulation.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
It just feels creepy.
Take the creepy out of it. It doesn't feel like this is real.
Right.
It never felt real to me. Every time I saw someone speaking in tongues, I'm like, are you that desperate for attention right now? That was my first thought every time.
Yeah.
It never felt like Jesus is speaking through you. One, I have no idea what you're saying. Two, it's very loud and obnoxious. And three, I have no idea what you're saying.
So I went on a retreat, and this is where I'm going to make a connection here.
Okay.
Do I believe that there is real like kids that are like, I mean, this is real. These are 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds that are bawling, who are like speaking wild gibberish and then shaking on the ground, right? And I went on a retreat recently that was all about plant medicine. And let me tell you, some of the tongues I heard from people, their process of being on this plant medicine and the sounds I heard, and the experience I had, is that I think that they are what's happening with like praying in tongues and putting this pressure and these long sermons, and these kids are you're so innocent and you're so young that the ability to have visions, like literally like a drug trip or an LSD trip, but to be able to have that through hours of deep breathing and worship, and then being like told by these adults and feeling guilt and feeling shame and then feeling power and then feeling motivated, and then an adult being like with the Lord Jesus inside of him, putting their hands on your chest and being like, speak in tongues, and you're like, it's like, the weird thing is that it is drugs. It's like, this is completely, there might not be an actual physical drug being given to the kids, but this is like mental drug warfare, where they're being like put into states that are like so highly manipulative and so
they're also being
effective.
They're also being forced into those states.
That's
too.
what I'm saying, though. Is it's like
you're like especially from these families, you're going to the camp, or you're going to church. You're going to Becky Fisher's sermon tonight. You're going, and it's only children and a couple adults, but only children, and they come back on fire for Jesus. When in reality, it was, you didn't have a choice in the matter. You're going to go and you're going to be forced to speak tongues because everyone else around you is going to be speaking tongues. You're going to have some sort of experience. It's going to change and shape the rest of your life, because how could that not be God?
And give it your all then.
And you're going to give it your all. So give it your all.
So
and you do. And then what happens? So many years of your life are to trying to save people, trying to be an evangelical. And either it works for you for the rest of your life and you're not traumatized, or the 99% of you are traumatized.
Ignorance is bliss. If you are ignorantly walking the walk, talk, blah, 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 you may never know.
Yeah.
You may live your entire life just ignorantly handing down the same fucking trauma.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question. All these camps that you've been through and like the crazy shit that we've been through and whatnot, did you ever have visions? Did you ever have weird things during these afterglows, the crazy nights?
I had multiple weird things. I just struggled a lot with knowing the right thing to do. There's so much, I had so much like ego battles between like, do I raise my hands? Do I not raise my hands? I need to pray harder. I need to pray harder. I need to pray harder. It was always about, if I'm not hearing God's voice, if I'm not getting the message, it's my fault. It's always on me. And so there's multiple afterglows, multiple camps where I would be like hands in the air, trying so fucking hard to feel God, to hear from God. I need the fucking message. Like, that's what would be going through my head, without the cursing, of course, because cursing was just the worst thing I could ever think of. But just like reaching and crying and bawling my eyes out and feeling like I felt something. But a vision, never had a vision. No.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I had visions.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you talk about them.
So it's like, in my whole life, when I've thought back after all the, things I've done that have created real psychedelic visions and like real experiences, I've made the connection that like, obviously these chemicals are being released in my brain at the age of 10.
Yeah.
Like being transported at such a young age after worshiping for 2.5 hours straight and then being like, boom. And you're like, I don't know if that was my imagination, but I'm like scared shitless of a bizarre state.
I went somewhere, yeah.
And experienced something, and then going to a youth pastor or even dad and being like, yo, this happened. What does this mean? And they're like, you are a prophet. You've been given the gift of prophecy, Nathan. You should write down these visions and preach to them. I'm like, okay, I have powers. Like that's what it was like. Everything was everything was like, this is the gift of God in you. like not everyone has visions. And it was like, and then I would doubt myself, and then I'd feel really guilty. Like, was that real? Am I just making this up? And it was like, no, God has a plan for you and your visions. It's fucked up, man.
Oh, so fucked.
Yeah, we've been pretty soft on this podcast with the religious trauma lately. And this documentary definitely was like, let's rile things up again. Because when we were talking about we have episodes on camps. We did a 5-part series where every episode we talked about a new topic, and one of them being camps. And that was a pretty insane episode.
It was. We didn't go too deep on I think certain things that this film brings up.
Right.
And certain things of like, I mean, we did talk about like how these adults were feeding things into our brains, and how could you like being an adult now, like how could you think you were right? How could you still think you were right? We went to, sadly, a memorial yesterday, a week ago already, for a girl that we were raised with that just got in a car accident and died. And it was a big church event. It was incredibly triggering. And it was done at our father's church. And we saw a lot of people there that were part of our past. And me and Nathan talked a lot about how triggering it was. But one of the people we saw was our old youth pastor. And you hadn't watched the film yet, but man, can I tell you, it was more triggering seeing them
after the film,
because it brought back a lot of memories for me. Not talking bad about this person at all. It actually was really lovely seeing them. And out of all the people that were there, they were the most welcoming. And I loved that because I still felt the love they gave. And there was a lot of love, but looking back to it, it's like there also was the culprit to the brainwashing to the children. And the youth pastors are the ones doing that. And I don't know why I needed to bring that up, but I think it was very synchronistic.
I think it's just this shit's so close to home.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing on this podcast. And then if we open the door to like, for us just to talk about our real trauma, which we've done so much, that's why we kind of pulled away from like specific, let's talk about this part of our religious traumas because it's too much every week. And so opening up this door, which we've talked about this documentary for a long time and we just haven't watched it for very specific reasons. Yeah. And it's like, we did it now and it's like, all of it's very triggering. And that's what makes it so hard is when you have these people that helped raise you, that you have these like 10-year histories with that are basically like second dads or uncles, like so close. You grew up with their kids and all of their kids are still like diehard Christians and they're pastors and whatnot. And you run into them and they're just as sweet as you remember. What do you do with that? You catch up, right? It's like, and like, but that's also why we don't go to church.
Yeah.
Because every single time we go, it's a mixture of old faces and then disappointed faces and then preaching faces. And it's endless. It's like, I don't know if I have space to be dealing with this ever. Like, so that's what makes it hard being a pastor's kid is you're going to be put like the memorial was a bizarre. This was a young girl that was way younger than us who was raised through the same exact youth group after we walked away.
Yeah.
And we watched them go through the same youth group. And it was just this feeling like we are the pastor's kids. I'm leaving the church now. And all of these young girls and boys that were like in kids class were like, that's weird. What's wrong with him?
Mm-hmm.
He's a sinner. Why is he walking away? And then I like just was like, these poor girls, these poor boys are going to have to go through the same torment. And then bam, one of them died in a car accident at the age of 23. And so we've been faced with some just reality. I think is like why we're doing this and how it's developed and evolved to being a podcast where we talk about religious trauma is very important to us because of the reality of camps all over this country forever. And especially in the George Bush in the 90s and going to the early 2000s and then the war that our whole lives lived through was being fought and filtered through the youth of this country and the evangelical churches and camps. And we went through the same exact shit. I was just as afraid of terrorists and Islamic people most of my life until about 20.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I finally took a college class on world religions, no matter how I was out of the church for years. and was building bridges to how everyone's got different religions and everyone should be accepted, and why are we hating or this or that, and realizing how much of the war in Iraq was a Christian evangelical fundamental shit that was just filtered all through us too.
Yeah, and religion used to make money, to convince the majority of the population to vote a certain way so that the rich can stay richer and that the worst things can keep happening, or that we can go to war to make more money, but to use the Christian population to do that. And the pastor at the end of this church openly states that in front of the church, that they look how easy it is to manipulate politics. Look at what these kids are going to do for the future. We're going to win politics. It's politics is your goal. The Bible is not about politics. I mean, I'm not that I agree with the Bible, but you shouldn't be using it for that. And I'm pretty sure the Bible has shit to say about that. But the separation of church and state is just so far from the truth. It's never been separate.
And I was going to play another clip that was showing that radio host who says exactly all of these things.
We'll just go into that next podcast.
And we'll just follow up with this the next podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Zachary?
Yep.
Feels a little weird going over to a game after actually talking about some serious triggering trauma.
Yeah. It's tough.
But here on Moral Combat, we follow the rules, which is doing the same thing. So there's consistency. That's one of our rules is longevity and consistency. So let's go over to the
Game Cam.
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 We're back. We're playing Mario Kart 64 again, and you might be asking, why do they only play this game? Why do they only play this game? Why do they only play this game? Why do they only play this game?
Maybe because you're not commenting and suggesting anything else.
Yeah, make comments.
Make comment.
The other reason is because all the religious trauma we talk about, as it was happening as kids, this is the game we played as kids.
Yep.
So there is a sweet part in our hearts when we weren't at church, facing the dirt, we were block forting it up.
Block forting it up.
And last week, Zach beat me big time on big. Actually, no, it was a really good game.
It was great
fun because I fell into the lava and it was just sucky. But we did Big Donut 3.0, and tonight we are doing Block Fort 3.0. Zachary, good luck.
Hey, good luck, dude.
Let's play.
Yeah, get smash.
Best out of 3.
We're not going to need 3, don't worry.
Yoshi, don't fail me. 3, 2, 1, go boost. Let's see. Oh, you're going to follow me, huh? Haha! Oh, why did I shoot both? I freaked out. That's not a good sign. When you're shooting off shells.
Ooh, I almost hit my own donut.
Out of panic in the first round. Not a good sign.
It's not the best of signs.
Hello. Oh, you Whoa! Whoa!
Oh, what a shot!
Whoa!
What a shot!
I just dodged those. That was crazy.
That was I'm gonna give myself props on that quality.
I can't believe I made that out. Oh, I thought I had that timing. How long do you have a star? Okay. So far, the start of this game is looking shady. Zach's just shooting red shells. You're just gonna stand up there?
Oh, give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. I want it. No. made you use that
Oh, you hit me! Oh, you hit me! Oh, you got so lucky! You got so lucky! You hit me from top. If you get another red shell, maybe roll it. Shot. I'm coming for you right now. You better get a good one. What are you gonna do?
Oh, you used that. Waste it. No. You just wasted it.
How is it so?
You're starting to lose it.
Come here.
Nope. Oh, I just missed you too.
Oh,
you're getting hit. You don't want to be down there. I have a bunch of green shells.
Not good. This is really not good. This is not. You're gonna try to shoot that and hit me? Oh snap! Oh,
took one of your shells out.
I'm out of here. Come to me. Oh, I got a ghost right now. Oh, yeah, you shoot that. You shoot that right now. You shoot that. Yes. Yes.
You got lucky, dude.
Oh, this game is stressing me out.
You can tell we've been playing it a while because we're getting a lot better.
Yeah, seriously, it's actually like real matches now. Okay, you're about to destroy me. Bye-bye.
Oh, dude. You should probably use that star.
Oh,
nice.
How do you get so freaking lucky?
Oh, dang it.
Turn around, Zach. No. Yeah!
No! How did you do that?
Yeah!
Oh my god. I had 3 balloons, you had 1. You just got all balloons in one little go
that
around.
Star was a perfect star. I just love it. Thank you, everybody. That was very much that was great. Let's do this again.
No, I'm coming to vengeance.
Round 2 out of 3. Because we're going to end it on this one.
No, we're definitely not ending on this one. Let's destroy you on this one.
Oh!
Yeah, dodge that bullet.
I thought I had you. Here I come.
Oops. Wasted a red shot. Not a good start.
Yeah, go up to that level. I dare you. I'm going to go to red. You stay in weird puke yellow.
It is a weird color, isn't it?
It's like a weird pukey yellow, yeah.
Yeah, it's very... Whoever designed that color.
I'm coming in hot, baby.
I feel like they just didn't know what it was going to look like on screen.
Oh, how did you get me? How did you get me? How did you get me? How did you do that? Ugh! Come here, you son of a monkey.
Oh, dude, that was close.
Oh, I'm out. I gotta go. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Where are you going?
I'm running, dude. That's where I'm going.
Wow! Oh, that was a good shot. Oh, I almost got that star from you. No. Okay, it's a little quiet, a little too quiet. We're focusing a little too much here. Zach's got a red shell. I have stars. I'm having a panic attack. Here I come to right below him.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
Come here.
I'm on the run, baby. Oh, goodness.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky.
Oh, man. It just... Goodness gracious.
Come here. Come here. Those some good moves.
Ooh, you red stealing slut.
That's me. What are you gonna do? Come on, man. Stand some, man. Oh,
That's
you
what I'm
got
gonna
me.
do.
I thought I was gonna be able to get out of there. I kind of played stupid there.
Yeah, you kind of played that
I did
dumb.
a little chicken. I did a little chicken.
Got a little bored, is what you did. You're
Here
like
we go.
this.
Game 3. It's been a while since we had game 3.
Let's make this one quick. I'm about to smash you.
Okay, let's make it quick. Smash me, because I've dinner to go eat. So like, make it quick, please. Oh, this is fun. You stupid. You are so stupid.
I don't like that.
Where you going? Which way are you gonna go, buddy? Where you gonna go?
Dude, I didn't know where you were.
Where you going? Where you going?
I'm leaving you. I'm leaving you alone.
Oh, you did it. I panicked. I'm coming in for you hot. Ooh!
Okay, this is not good for me. No. Dang it. Okay. It's tough start.
Come here. Yes. Oh!
Yes.
Got hit by a green shell out of nowhere. That is just so stupid when that happens. Okay, here he comes. He's got 3. I'm going in first.
I got 1 balloon. Nate's got 2. Just for the listeners.
Here we go.
because we obviously have people that are listening right now.
Here we go. He's coming in high. He's coming in real high. He's coming in real. Oh! No! No, 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 no.
Don't get hit by a random green.
He's up top. I gotta get out of here.
You are lucky.
You suck. Got you.
Oh, goodness.
Got you.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, dude.
You. That's stressful. That is very stressful right there. I thought I had you up top. Ooh, shell almost hit me. Oh, round 3. We each got a solo balloon. This is a big deal here. Oh, no. 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 Run. Run, Nathan. No. No.
Oh, goodness. Yes, he's just a ghost. Oh, oh, goodness. Dodging bullets here, boys. Where are you? Oh, yeah, you were a ghost.
Look out. We got missiles coming in from everywhere. Whoa! So, I just want to make it very clear right now. Okay, you're so loud. I want to make it very clear that that was a rogue green shell that took me out. That was not Zachary that played it well.
Hey, man, part of being good at this game is dodging rogue green shells, dude.
That was such a good game.
That was a great game. One for the books. That was one of the best.
Block Fort 3.0.
I know, coming in hot.
Oh, you still took the wind. You still took the wind out of me.
I think I've won the last 4 game cams, baby.
You deserve it.
I did.
You lost a lot.
You went on a streak, dude. That was brutal.
Now that we got you, you're a little bit more conditioned up to the Mario Kart. You're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
He's back.
He's back.
Echo. Backyard on. I mean, garage on.
What is wrong?
Dude, I'm a little bit wired from that game. Echo. Garage on.
Oh, man. That's funny.
I mean, now the backyard is turned on too.
Yes, it's like
it's just lights are on everywhere.
The sprinklers, everything.
Excellent match.
Yeah, great game.
And good cast.
Thanks.
And do I look forward to continuing our talk on Jesus Camp next week? I don't really know if I look forward to it.
I look forward to having something to say.
I mean, we have a lot to say. It's that it's tiring and it's hard, and it's nice when there's other people out there that are there's so much art out there and so much creativity that has been people doing this, like trying to solve. So I look forward to talking about it more with you, showing more clips. It's real shit.
Yeah.
Until then, have a wonderful week.
Yeah, you too.
And I love you.
Love you.
And I love everybody out there.
Love you all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see you later.